Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. As y'all see by the title, y'all already know what we're gonna be talking about today. And I'm me talking about why I stopped working in the healthcare field to be a stay-at-home mom. That's how it was worded basically or whatever to me. I deleted the comment because I got a comment basically was like, so you chose to stay at home versus continuing to work in the healthcare field. By some person that don't even follow me on. So I'm gonna be addressing that pretty much just if anybody else was curious and stuff. I don't know if anybody else saw that comment before I deleted that, but it was on one of my stay at home, like one of my basically day videos. And I was telling y'all, I pretty much talk about it frequent about how I used to be an aide for 12 years and everything. And I thought I addressed that, but I guess this dodo didn't hear why I said that I don't, work in the healthcare field. Yeah, I got the long nails on y'all, so y'all know I'm doing this. I do this. I talk with my hands, stuff like that anyways. But, the nails. So they press ons, by the way. If y'all didn't see my shorts, go ahead and check that out too. I think I fooled a couple people too with these because y'all probably seen these. But it been a minute. I only had these on for like a few days, but these nails I told y'all real sturdy, y'all. Go check out Nail Rosie for go-to press-ons. This also a Nail Rosie nail, but it didn't come with the set. I had some other rhinestones. Excuse me. Anyways, go ahead and check out though that video. I'll try to link a couple videos. I'll probably try to link the video of me with these. Check out my latest shorts of me with these press-ons. But yeah, I've been out in the healthcare field for about a year and a half now. We'll say safely a year and a half. I've been also going to school though for a couple months now. I've been going to wow. When did I start? September? It'll be almost a year since I've been doing school. So I haven't been just sitting home, for that person that decided to leave that comment thinking I've done so many videos where y'all gonna hear my daughter, y'all. I've done so many videos too where I told y'all comments like that be irrelevant to me. It's just another comment, it's just another view, it's just another. I really don't be caring because I read them comments every so often. So when people leave comments, by the time they leave it, it'd be like by the time I read it, rather, it'd be like a month later and stuff. And I put comments on certain videos, so it's not even on the video. I'm not gonna see it. And it's not trying to be funny. It's just right now, shoot, this is hobby content. This ain't, I don't get, paid off this. I'm building my channel back up, basically. I'm sorry, y'all. This one piece is, just kind of making it look like it's sticking out like that to me. So, but yeah, y'all. So I left the healthcare field like any other person that worked in the healthcare field would leave because I simply got tired of it. It started to become, like a field that just, seemed, um, obviously it's demanding and everything, but it's a field that, and it has nothing to do with the pay. It has nothing to do with the rewards. I was actually receiving great pay for my experience and how long I've been in the healthcare field. That wasn't the issue. It wasn't getting hours. It wasn't the workload because I'm definitely a workaholic, so it wasn't any of that. I left the healthcare field simply just because of things going on at home, a mix of things actually. My car was down at that time. I had a toddler that I'm trying to raise, and I don't want her to see me working all the time. Um, I wanted to go back to school for something else. I wanted my husband to have a chance, he's a vet, but I wanted him to have a chance to experience, another side and, build up his work resume. So that way he can, if he want to get back in the work field or whatever himself, because that's something he had been talking about too, he can have that opportunity and it doesn't see so one-sided or selfish, me, the woman always working. I know that did, not that, because he still was taking care of the household. That's what people don't understand. Y'all think, oh yeah, but has always been, my money has been just extra income. He has always took care of the household. So that, my money that I was getting was just like basically pocket change, fun spending money. I never, after I had my daughter, I stopped working all those hours, so before her, it was just, it still was spending money. He always made more than me. He always made more than me. I don't care if I did doubles. And that was just him being at home. He got tired of sitting at home, though. And I wanted to be home. I've been working consistency. Consistency. I've been working very consistent. You know, I've always kept a job from 15 all the way up to I am 33 now. So I wanted something different. I don't want my daughter, my mom, she, obviously, well, she was a single mother. And, because, her kids is grown now. That's why I say was. She still technically is, but her kid, we're grown. I have my brother, we're both grown. So she don't have any kids anymore. She have adult children. And she got grandkids now. So, yeah, y'all, I saw my mom working a lot. And, I saw her, but, I was also, it was times where, periods where I was with my grandma. Because my mom had to work. Not that she wanted to. And I have an opportunity to provide the both, provide that for my daughter. I have the opportunity for her to see me at home, and it will be a chance where I will have to go back to work. But right now, I'm able to be home for my daughter and able to, let my husband do something that he wants to do, as a man, and, give him a chance to get out, know how I feel, know how I was feeling, I could feel how he feel, because I never really sat down. I got ADHD, so I'm always moving, and it was a big change. Trust me, it was a big change. It wasn't just like, when I thought about stay at home mom, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. What I thought of was, you know, it first off, it depends on everybody's situation, but it just put me straight in the mind of Sopranos and how those wives are on Sopranos. And some people, y'all gonna have y'all comments, that's y'all comments. I really don't care. That's how I thought about it, because I always worked. So, I was always told, because my mom was a single mom, make sure you have your own. Even if it's not everything, obviously you need help. But have your own, so you're not, looking like you mooching. Even though, yes, this is my husband and stuff like that. It took me a long time to realize, too, that it's okay to accept help from my husband, because my mom didn't have that. I saw my mom working and it wasn't no male there. So that's how I thought it was. I, looked at it for a long time, like what is mine is ours, but what he worked for in the service is his. That's how I looked. I never really looked for him toward his stuff. I always looked at, hey, if he gives me, that's out the kindness of his heart, and because he wants to do these things. Same for me, but it's because he wants to do that. I'm not going to beg or ask a man to do nothing for me. And that's how I always thought. And it took me a long time to not look at my husband like that. And, some people might say, oh, trust issues. I mean, whatever it is, it is. But, I had to really learn that. Like, it's okay, for me to let my husband help me for a little bit. Right now is a time where I need his help. Chose to stay home and focus on the home. That's my strength more, as far as in the cleaning up and stuff like that. And, it gave me a chance to learn, back cooking again. Cooking is tedious for me and stuff like that. It gave me a chance to work back on that, because cooking is his love language and stuff too when he is home. He, when I was working, he did most of the cooking. And it just worked out like that. I would come home, or out on my days off, I would make sure the house is clean and everything. This was before I had my daughter. After I had my daughter, I didn't want her see me working all the time. I used to work long, crazy hours, doubles, sometimes I didn't want her to see that. I have a daughter, so I have to be the mother woman figure to raise her. And since I'm not a single mother, shout out nothing to the single moms, obviously. I just said my mom was. But I wanted her to see that, I wanted her to be raised different, have a chance to have more of a balanced mindset than I had to. Because I had to learn a lot of stuff. I had to learn a lot of stuff the hard way. Or maybe I made it hard for myself because I didn't want to listen. I was hard-headed. Whatever it was, I learned a lot of stuff the hard way, where I could have saved myself all this unnecessary hassle, all this learning later, headaches. Oh, I want to be stubborn. Whatever the case it was, I chose to jump into the healthcare field because it was quick and easy money at the time. I was doing cashiering, and I wanted, I was tired of doing 2 and 3 jobs, because that's how it was too. I tried school. I tried to go to actual community college or whatever. So that's why I'm back at it now at 30, 33. Now I'm back at it for the umpteenth time because I didn't want to have the patience to do it before. So now I'm doing it now, but now I have the patience. I'm excelling. I have the, concentrate. My concentration is there versus when I was young. I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about, I want to make some money. I'm not going to make money quickly, which wasn't necessarily a great way of thinking. I didn't have no kids. I should have got it out the way then, but that's just how it went for me. Some people could grasp that a little earlier. Kudos. That's the way it should be. Get it out the way first before you have kids. Don't make it harder, and then when you have kids, then you realize. But that's how a lot of people learn, though. You gotta bump your head sometimes. So that's what happened for me. Other than that, like I didn't have to learn the hard way. As in, I was in the streets. I wasn't like a streets girl in the streets. Oh yeah, no, I didn't have to learn the hard way like that and fighting and all that stuff like that. I wasn't all on all that. But in my early adult, 20s, where you really supposed to make the mistakes, I was learning the hard way. I realized I had a bad temper, all that stuff. And, it didn't really subside until I pretty much had my daughter. I was pretty much doing what I want. That's when DomTasticxl came about. That's when all that stuff came along. Me doing nails, this, that. Because I had the freedom to do it. I was doing that also while I was doing CNA. But that's pretty much why. People swear they know your life better than you know your own life. And instead of just asking, what made you switch, because I never really did a direct healthcare video on the healthcare field. I did a couple clips, but that was before they ended up deleting my videos off of, I don't even know if I had that. I do have, pictures obviously of when I was, working in the healthcare field. So I might include some of them pictures in here so y'all can see, when I had my scrubs on and stuff like that. And, other than that, like I got pictures, when I had my nails and stuff in the healthcare field. But I'm not actively in it right now, and that's my choice. I chose to be home with my daughter because I don't want her to have to be raised by her daycare provider or being raised by her grandmother. When she has a mom that's still alive, that, if I take the time to have the patience to not worry about money all the time, even though we all need money, I could worry about being a mom. I waited long enough to have her, why not? I think that's a great idea, so that's why I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, quote unquote. And that's why I left the healthcare field, because I had the opportunity to do so. I seen the opportunity and I took it. And I had the opportunity to do so, even though I didn't owe an explanation to anybody. But since it was asked, that's why. But from now on, with comments like that, I'm gonna make sure I screenshot them in there instead of delete them, because I sure thought about that After I deleted the comment, I'm like, dang, I could have screenshotted that. Actually, no, I couldn't have, because I don't know where my I got a second phone, like a backup phone that's old, just in case I do need to record off of that one. But the camera, I don't think is no better than this one. This camera kind of busted on the other side, like on the side that's facing away from me. I think I mentioned that too. But I don't know where that phone at. And I checked my daughter because she be hiding stuff too in her toy box and stuff. And I checked there. I don't see it. I don't know where. I done cleaned the house. I don't see it, so I don't know where it's at. But I'm sure it'll pop up or whatever. But I couldn't even screenshot it. So, but I just thought I'd make a video on it. I mean, what's there to lie about? That's why. If anybody got any more questions surrounding the healthcare field, or is it worth it to me? Was it worth it? It had its good times. It had its bad times. I worked through COVID. Made a nice iced caramel, cold brew coffee. But was it worth it? Yeah, it was worth the experience. But after a while, I didn't want to be an aide forever. I didn't want to be an aide more than 5 years, and then 12 years later, I definitely was like, it's either now or never. If I'm gonna do it, it's never too late. Be careful, honey. Yeah, it's never too late. So if I am gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it all. Hey, honey, you loud in there. I would have missed out on so much, though. I would have missed out on so much had I continued to been working like how I've been working. I would have missed out on her first steps, possibly. I would have been missing out on her saying mama for the first time. I would have missed out on potty training. I did all that for her. I helped her with all that stuff. The walking the stairs. I give her baths. I do her hair. I would have missed out on all that stuff. I brush her, make sure her teeth get brushed. Just the little details that I like for my daughter. I'm a mom. I want her to know about body hygiene and to be a certain way. She knows how to cross her legs when she have a skirt on, or a dress on. I would have missed out on a lot of that stuff. The little details that will even help her as young as she is, as young as 2. Because she's 2. So, and no, she does not know everything, but, some of the stuff, like the encouraging her with her ABCs and stuff like that, numbers, I would have missed out on so much had I continued to work in the healthcare field. I wouldn't have been as mature as I am right now. I would have been, still in an immature mindset, because that's what the healthcare field left me with. It made me a little bitter. It made me cold and numb to some people, older people too. But it made me less empathetic at a point of leaving it to people because of what I saw in the healthcare field. You don't really realize how much death you see in there. I've seen death. I've held people's hands in their last breaths. You see these people in their most vulnerable times. You see them, they dare, they not. They sit there for hours. It's a lot on your mental. And I already suffered from depression before the healthcare field. And it left me with PTSD. It made my mood swings a little worse. I felt like I didn't have enough material. Just a bunch of stuff that may not mean, but left. It's a little more. Like it became not worth it no more to me. So that's why I chose to, and I'm much happier. My schedule is much more flexible, obviously, much more open. I feel like I'm able to be more of use to my husband, my family like this, versus when I was at work. And now he sees what I'm talking about. He's tired. He's asleep right now. But now he sees, and I feel like us doing that, we're able to appreciate each other more too, because we see what each other are talking about. Like we literally switched roles. All that time I was working, even before we had our daughter, he was here. Bills never lacked, but he was here. Now, same thing, but now I'm home. So the house never lacks. You know, I make sure this house is clean. I make sure I'm up for him. You know, I make sure that I'm there if he needs me. I'm there for my daughter first. I'm always there when she wakes up first. That's important to me. Way more important than money could